Hello and welcome to the Inbetween podcast. I'm user host Joe Scott. I'm joined by Tony Tanzanati. How's it going, Tony?
Bonjour. I am
Buongiorno.
officially 1 year older since last time we were on the podcast. I think
Yes,
that's how that works.
I ate some of your Halloween themed
Oh
birthday cake
yeah,
that you do every year. Um,
yeah.
I also ate
I think.
wrestling Matt Slice because he wasn't there. But
Well,
yeah, it was
also,
pretty tasty.
there should be. Was there? Did your dad eat a slice as well?
Yeah, so it was good.
Okay. I'm always curious. Okay, right. I need to give. Okay.
Yeah, just think.
Did you notice anything interesting about the icing in between the two sponge layers?
It was a little bit harder than most, but not particularly.
Yeah. Okay. I put in the middle, honeycomb. I was like, oh, because it's always the same every year. So, and I had bought from Tesco like
Yeah.
honeycomb section like things. I don't know what you'd call it, but like little
Oh,
honeycomb.
send me a photo of your cake and I'll put it up on the screen.
Oh, okay. Uh, Hold up, that might take a while.
Hold up.
Do
That might take a while. Have you got some sort of camera crew in the background ready for production?
yeah. No, I need to find it.
It's in the
What was I
chat.
saying? Oh, I put that in
Yeah,
the
okay.
middle, and like there's only like a few big sections left, and the rest kind of became grainy. I think.
Right.
I don't know. It was weird, but no, I was pretty happy with the cake. Look, it's kind of my normal setup. If I can find a picture, I don't know what I don't know what the best picture. Okay, hang on. I've got a picture, but I don't know what the best picture is. We'll do this one. We'll do this one. There we go.
Send me one.
Yeah. I was to say that I need to give some credit. I did okay. I made the sponge and I made the icing in between, but I had
Yeah.
help putting the icing around the sponge before putting the fondant on, and putting the fondant on top. I had help with, and my
Okay.
sister added. So I made the marzipan and orange fondant balls for the pumpkins,
Yeah.
but my sister then decorated it after that point.
I like it's like
So like adding
assortment
the
of like
ones.
eyeballs and pumpkins and different
Yeah,
Halloween sweets you got.
yeah.
Did you just go
Just
out and grab a bunch of bags of sweets and put them together or something?
well, I don't know. I don't know if you know this, but it's quite easy to do that around Halloween. You just buy like a spooky sweets.
You just go down
It's
Aldi and
yeah,
you grab a
yeah,
bunch of bags, or they've already got the Christmas. Like they had the
yeah.
Christmas stuff out before the Halloween stuff in Aldi. I
There
swear to
are.
God.
I went to the garden center so I took a week off the week leading up to my birthday,
Yeah,
and I went to the garden center in Huntingdon.
yeah.
Would recommend to everyone who wants to go to Huntingdon. Not the one.
No,
There's
don't do
a
it.
Huntingdon in
It's a
America,
scam.
right? Don't
Yeah,
go
yeah,
to
yeah.
that one.
No, no, go to the one in America. It's better.
Okay, the garden centre in London in America, really good, really good. But no, they don't do Halloween, so it's like Christmas stuff already. It's like it's so weird, like being in the spooky mindset and then like seeing a Christmas decorations. It just doesn't work for me. But
Yeah.
they clearly don't celebrate Halloween. So
Well,
I know some people get scared of Halloween. So
I've been embracing the Halloween season. I've been playing a bunch of
yeah,
Halloween game. I think I played for like a week or two. I just played Halloween games, and then to get Halloween out of my system, so then I could. Tony, we're so close to Christmas now. We're so close to Christmas
I
now.
don't know
I
if you
can't
know
wait.
this.
What?
On from my birthday, it's exactly 8 weeks to Christmas.
That's huge.
So I know Christmas Day is on a Sunday.
And it'll be a good Sunday. The Lord
Yeah.
will rest for the pagan festival of winter
I
solstice.
think doesn't it mean we get like double like normally it's like one on Friday and one on Monday on bank holidays, it's like double bank holiday.
To be honest with you, I have no idea. I never,
You don't believe in bank
I
holidays,
just never know when bank holidays are happening. They just
right?
happen.
They're precious things you hold close to your heart.
Oh,
That's what I know.
fun fact, well, we were talking about before. You know, Aldi's like the fourth biggest supermarket in the UK now. Like it's just ballooned
Really?
in size. Yeah.
I guess yeah. Kind of. Did they balloon the size like during the pandemic, or is it just now? Like now, it's like a money crunch.
And like recently, in the past couple of
Okay.
months, they ejected like
Yeah.
Morrison's out of the big four. So like it's like Tesco, Sainsbury's, Asda. It used to be Morrison's, but now it's Aldi.
To be fair, I always thought Morrison's being in the top four was a bit weird. Like I just thought they were too
Mm.
expensive for what they were.
Yeah,
So
Morrison's has that niche of selling shit you've never heard of for super expensive
yeah, but
prices.
it's shit you never heard of, but it's very similar to things you have heard of for double the price.
Mm.
I just don't get it. Don't get me wrong. Okay,
Or
I
like
I
we
go
say
to
what there's Marks and Spencer as well. There's another
yeah. Oh, is that not
boutique
part of the
grocery.
Morrison's group?
I don't think so.
Okay, is it just Waitrose then?
You're wrong.
But no, I feel like I don't know. I have a soft spot for Aldi. I quite like their stuff. I
Well, I
don't go
go
that
there all the
often,
time
so to
because they're
me it's
just
special.
yeah. I go there like every week because it's so much. It's so quick and efficient to the way they do it at the checkout. Like so, I know some of my friends have said I won't go there because I get fucking anxiety of how quick they send you through the checkouts.
Oh
But it's
right.
just like you put it on the checkout, like do. They just throw it at you, and you just have to
But
shove it in
why?
a bag, and then you're out.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing is, whenever I go shopping out myself, like I try to be like as efficient as possible. But I like self checkout be it like I have to I
There's no
efficiently try and
so
scan it and put it in the bag.
that's a with the big supermarkets. You get the self checkouts. You get like
Hmm.
the bagging for people who want it and that sort of stuff. You can get the scan and shop stuff. With Aldi, or you can get home deliveries, which is another big thing. Aldi
Yeah,
doesn't.
yeah,
They don't have the. They just cut off the overhead costs of deliveries, and they just get as many people into the store as possible. And it's just like,
yeah. It kind of makes
and
sense.
then they just try and because with self checkouts you could have slowdown because people are checking their own stuff.
Oh yeah, there's some really
Um,
slow
so
people at the
they have like a bunch of um, conveyor belts, but there's usually only about two open, and then they'll like quickly switch employees in and off of them as they like change shifts and that sort of stuff, and then it's just
Yeah.
efficient and quick through them. I don't know why I started talking about Aldi for like 5 minutes. I don't know how we got here.
I just feel like everyone needs to know about Aldi. I feel
Everyone,
like
look, I used to be a Tesco boy, and whenever somebody was like, "Oh, I got this from Aldi," I'd be like, "Well, it can't be that good. It's like a knockoff version of the
the
actual
thing
thing." But I got to
is,
tell you, I only eat knockoff things now. I only eat the fucking Titan bars and like the knockoff McCoys and stuff like that.
yeah, some of
The
them,
thing is, like, if you look at reviews, like some of the Aldi knockoff stuff is better rated than the actual
yeah,
products it's
yeah,
like
hundred
ripping off.
percent,
It's crazy.
100%. To me, it's like some of the Audi knockoff stuff is really good, and some of like the little like stuff like you've never heard of from like Eastern Europe is really fucking good.
Mm. Anyway,
So don't go there often though. I'm a Sainsbury's and Tesco person
but we didn't do the
most of
podcast
the
on
time.
Sunday because we met up, played some board games, and
Well, yeah,
you showed me
I
a new product that you just bought that tells the time and it
that's
goes on
true.
your wrist. I don't want to spoil it, but there's a
It's
clip.
it's Tony the Clock. No, I bought well, I say I bought I I received money and it was mostly funded by family at this point.
Yeah.
Galaxy Watch 5 and a strap because I don't really like the strap that came with it. So
Galaxy
I
Watch
got
5. So I knew
metal
nothing
magnetic strap.
about this when you were talking about buying it.
Hmm.
You said you were interested. I was just like, from my limited understanding of smartwatches, it's kind of just Apple Watches are like the king when it comes to smartwatches. And then everyone else has been lagging behind for a long time, but it seems like with this they may have catched up. What are the benefits of this?
Well, for one, I don't know if you noticed about the difference between so apparently I didn't realize this, but apparently one of the big advantages with Android watches is that they tend to have one, not all of them, they tend to have almost all of them have like always on displays and they tend to last longer than Apple with its always on display, which I don't know why that's the case.
So
That seems to be like one of the big
I've never
things.
used a smartwatch, but I don't really get this always on display thing.
It's
Like
basically for me anyway. For me, I just went because like
you just
with
want
it
to be able to
off.
quickly glance at your.
Yeah, with it off, you have to like make the action to turn the screen on.
Can't you can't you have
Many
like
times,
a
I just
gyro?
glance at my wrists.
Can't you have like a gyrometer in your wrist so it turns on when it detects
Yeah,
motion?
yeah. But
Oh,
it has to
okay.
be like an active thing. I've noticed because it even with the active display on the Apple Watch 5,
Yeah.
the Galaxy Watch 5, um I've noticed like it's a dim display when it's off, and it then brightens up and there's like more animation when it's actually properly on. I've noticed that 50% of the time I'm looking at my watch, it's like at a glance and it hasn't activated.
Hmm.
So it's like, and it's like if I had to like physically like have to do it, like it gets so annoying. And it's like I don't know if you noticed like J2 Cent videos, like he's like always like having that really like pronounced wrist movement to look at his watch. I'm
Right.
pretty sure that's why he does it.
But
So yeah, for me, I want it to be as much like a normal watch as possible because like I was actually looking between like a £300 skeleton watch or a smartwatch. Those
no,
like
like
that was like the sort of region I was looking at.
I've talked about this idea before, but I always have this list of things that would be cool to own, but ultimately are probably too expensive to justify the cost.
Yeah,
Where you have stuff like smartwatches, Steam Decks, stuff like that.
yeah.
Um, how long have you had it now?
Well, I only opened it day before Halloween, so
Right, so you've had it like a week and a half.
10 days.
Yeah. What do you think so far of the smartwatch? Are you enjoying having it?
Yeah, recently I've been like at work. I've been having to like set off automated stuff and like come back to it in like half an hour, 10 minutes, then an
I
hour and a
think.
half, depending on what the tests are. And there's like really useful to like it vibrating on your wrist is like really hard to ignore.
Hmm,
Like for me, I always miss the phone notifications and like alarms.
yeah,
I don't know why. I'm just really bad at it. But like
yeah, on your
having
wrist.
notifications on your wrist and like easy accessible is just really handy to me. And
Well,
I've not taken my phone out to look at the time since.
I would like to I would like to use like the health thing, so I could use it for exercise. Would be really useful for me. Like I use
Yeah.
Strava on my phone at the moment, and that's what I've been using to track my cycling. But I think just having it like I think you can even set it to automatically just start tracking with a smartwatch based on the way it can
Yeah.
track your heart rate and your pulse and stuff
So
like that through the watch.
yeah. The way that I think, like, because I've gone through the settings on this on like, it took me like a day to set up like all the settings for this because
Yeah,
I'm trying to understand what was going on. Um, but I wanted to turn off a lot of the health stuff off because it drains the battery and I don't really care about it. But like, yeah, like you could like have it. One of the things it could do is like start a exercise route, like track an exercise routine automatically based upon like higher activity.
I've seen so
Um,
many of those news articles that like this guy was having a fucking heart attack and then he was wearing an Apple Watch and it saved his life. There's so many of those articles now where it's like, oh, this person had a health condition and they would die if they weren't wearing a smartwatch, essentially,
yeah. It's
which I
weird
find
because
kind of crazy.
I believe both the Apple and the Galaxy smartwatches like say in the box like, "Oh, do not use this device for like trying to detect like heart attacks and things." But yeah, it
Hmm.
still manages to help. Which I find crazy.
Yeah, so you initially it came with a digital clock and you went back to an analog face, is that correct?
Yeah, so the default one that comes up is the Oh, actually, I haven't said this part yet. The one that comes okay.
Go
I
on.
chose the it's the silver watch is the one I got, which comes with a white watch band. Um, Yeah, I have a funny feeling that they're expecting a different gender to have this watch because the default colors on the
Is
front were
pink?
pink.
I'm looking at an image now. I think I'm seeing the same one.
Yeah, and it's like, well, I
Is
all
it
my
is it
watches,
this
all the
one?
watches like I have good memories of like I've not had a watch since I've been in university. Yeah, that's the one I got.
Oh, okay. So this is the watch you got.
Those exact colors on the front as well. I did change the little walking man to be my battery indicator because
Why are you so anti-pink, Tony? What's going on?
it's fine, but it's not what I was going for. But apparently, like I'm
Okay.
meant to be like white and pink is what I'm meant to be going for. as the theme of that watch. And if I'm a man, I meant to go for matte black, I think. But all the watches I appreciate for
Like
my
Mark
what I
A.S.
like is
Brownlee.
yeah, oh yeah, he swears by like watches like like obviously he's like the matte black guy, but especially
Yeah.
with watches he's like, oh, it has to be matte black.
Why's that?
So
Just style.
yeah, I think just you can blend it in easier, or, like do more stuff. I think silver's like where it's at. I really like the silver look. My two skeleton watches I own are both silver, so that's why I went
And
for it.
circular icons. Is that an Android thing? Because they're
Well, on like
always
the app scrolling thing.
yeah. Or is that a
Yeah,
watch thing?
that to me that does this Wear OS stuff. So I think that's just default.
Are the apps circular on Android phone?
Um, you don't really load it in the same way.
Right. Okay.
So one thing I did want to say actually is I was expecting a lot of pains like to like have to go through 'cause I don't have a Samsung phone. I have a
Okay.
OnePlus phone. I was expecting to have
Oh,
more
China
pains
number one.
not having a Galaxy phone. But all you do is that like you download the app and then you say like, "Oh, download these apps into my watch," and it just does it for you. Like it just like syncs up notification settings. You can change like specifically like you can like it doesn't touch the app doesn't really touch your phone's notifications. It then just like pulls the information you allow it to the app, and then you can customize stuff after that. It's just really
Right.
useful. And that's how I downloaded the watch face. So technically, I downloaded the watch face onto my phone, which then got loaded onto my watch. But it doesn't really show if it's for the watch. Like the app will say, like, "Oh, look at your watch," and it's like if you click something on your watch that can't be displayed on that, it'll say, "Oh, look at your phone."
Right.
So generally, like if it's a normal app, it's on your phone already, and it's just like pushing notifications to it, and
Yeah.
it like
How
sets
does it
your
work with
app.
like Discord and like if I message you on Discord, would it just pop up as like
Yeah, yeah. So all notifications
a
can be
banner
pushed. It might not be
notification?
quite. Yeah, it might not be quite right. Like I've noticed, WhatsApp stuff can't pull images for some reason. I'm not sure
Right.
about Discord. I've not received a Discord image and like looked at the like I haven't received an image Discord message and looked at it on my watch. So I don't know how that works.
Yeah, because you said sometimes you get an image and you'd have to look at it on your phone rather than
Yeah,
being able to use the screen, which I find it kind of a little bit weird. It feels
yeah.
like
So
you
on
would be able
WhatsApp,
to
once
do
I
that.
click it, it's like if you try and click the image, it's like oh, load it onto your phone. It's like look at your phone, and like it just like bring up the what you click from there, which is quite useful. But yeah, it's kind of weird that it can't display it because it can display.
On the one hand, it's like oh, it'd be cool to do more stuff on the screen, but on the other hand, then it's kind of like you're just using a shit tiny touch screen,
Yeah,
which is not a great experience.
it's more useful than I thought it would be. I definitely could do more stuff like the normal messaging stuff like that I can receive images through that and it displays it fine. Like it's
Can
more
you do
useful than I
web
thought.
browsing on your
No, no,
smartwatch?
that's not a thing.
I feel like some people probably do.
Like, you try to find an app to do it, but there probably is one. And there's one like one of the ones that recommended is like note taking. I don't know how that works. I just think nah, that's okay.
Oh, you just pull out your Samsung pen that you always carry around with you and take
Yeah, well,
notes.
I guess I got my my Galaxy Fold, right?
Yeah. You've got your what they call there's like those Z Flip things.
The Z Flip and the Z Fold. I think both Z Folds. I can't remember now. They changed the names slightly.
I don't know, to be honest.
But
I
no,
haven't. I don't keep up with phones.
I generally just use it for time notifications and like alerts and like timing sort of stuff.
Yeah,
That's
I
what I kind
like
of use it.
the number one thing I use my phone for is I set timers on my phone so often
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Um,
I've not set a time on my phone since getting my watch. I just find it so easy to set it on the watch, so
mm,
it's really useful. Also, as
mm.
far as I can tell, other people can't hear when my watch is like vibrating a notification at me. Like no one's commented on me ignoring an alarm when I'm talking to someone. So there's that.
Mm,
The other
right.
thing I find interesting is like I'm not as I was saying, like I didn't get like a smartwatch to like do all like the sports stuff, but I still find it interesting like how many steps and like how long it thinks I've been active for. Like just it's kind of interesting. I tell you now, I'm below what it recommends every day.
Well,
Not very
yeah,
active.
yeah, you hate to hear it. You hate to hear it.
Yeah. But I think my final word I was going to say is that technically I was going to do the timestamps with my watch today, so we'll see
And
how
are
that
you
goes. Yeah, well, I mean
right
we're
now?
20 minutes and 55 seconds in, so
You're laughing at.
yeah, overall pretty happy. Uh, Charging it.
Well,
Oh, I guess the other thing is like I can get 2 days of charge, but I still charge it every night because it's just where it goes.
mm,
But that's with all the health stuff turned off. Like, if you have health stuff turned on, like, it'll definitely only last, a day.
yeah,
You can turn it to there's, like, genuinely, like, like, the swipe down or swipe up settings in, like, in Apple or Android. It's,
yeah.
like there's a genuine option to, like, turn watch mode on only, which, like, turns off everything apart from the watch, which, like, makes it last a week.
Oh,
So,
right.
if you only want a very expensive watch, there you go.
Yeah, what would be the point?
I don't know. Uh,
Just that
I guess
you
it's like
you you could save battery and then turn it back on when you want to
yeah,
do
if you
something else.
just yeah, I suppose I have a feeling the compass would still work. So maybe like you're
This is a
not near a
big question
charger.
that I wanted to ask you because this is something that confuses me about them. How usable
Yeah.
would the watch be if you left your phone at home?
Um, I have already I've somewhat tested it. Like so I've walked
Because they're
outside
very
the
much they're
range.
very much paired to your phone. A lot of them.
Yes. Yeah. They don't need the phone, but obviously notification stuff is through the phone. It does have its own Wi-Fi, and I
Yeah.
have tested Spotify, which actually is an app that is like has its own thing that works on the watch.
Right.
So you can actually navigate and browse your music library on your watch. That's a bit weird, but it does work without the phone. But it's like it prefers using the phone.
Mm.
The other weird thing was that you can load music like through Spotify, like load certain music onto the watch. So like it kind of implies you can just run without your phone. Is kind of an implication there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I haven't done extensive testing, but for my brief testing, like it does seem to be fine.
Does
But
it
I don't
have
know what the
like does it have
limitations
like
are
a
yet.
microphone and speakers in it? Could you make a call on your
Yeah,
phone?
yeah.
Okay.
When I get called, both my phone and my watch rings, and it's like
And
I
you
can
just
either
you
press
choose
the
to
button on my
answer on the
watch.
you choose to answer on your
Yeah,
watch.
I think it's weird speaking to watch. I think it's quite natural to speak on a phone, like up
Hello?
to your ear.
Yes?
I know some people do the weird thing. They have it like they like twist their like they go like basically like they just like talk to the back of the phone. They don't even like put up to
I'm
the ear.
I'm
That's
I'm
also weird.
I'm in Aldi. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, I don't. I believe in the old telephone to the ear and mouth. Like I'm old school when it comes to that. That's how I do it. But yeah, the other thing as well is that it has. I had to. Okay, I had to uninstall Bixby and install Google Assistant. So I've got Google Assistant on now.
I've just heard everyone hates Bixby. So
Yeah, it's shit. Google Assistant is really good.
hmm.
Compared to anything else, in my opinion.
Well,
I
I don't
don't
know.
like the Hey Google thing, but
I never use assistants because I
no, I
have
don't barely use it.
so I have Siri on my phone turned off because I never
Yep.
use it, and it
You have
sometimes
Cortana turned off?
I have Cortana turned off, and I have an Alexa in my house, and I never use it because it's
Oh,
so. I always try and get it to put
so
music
clunky.
on, and it always
Yeah.
puts on the wrong song, and I end up listening to the
Mhm.
wrong song and going, well, there's a game I like to play where I'm like, well, if it recommended me a song I never heard, maybe I'll listen to this one, and then I'll
Yeah.
enjoy this song. I've listened to a couple of songs accidentally and been like, oh, these songs are pretty good. And it's my new way to discover new music is to ask Alexa to actually put on the right song. Um,
Yeah. You go through the neural network of what it thought
I
you
think
said,
I
and then
think
you
one of the
just play
biggest
that.
problems though is like Amazon Music is so bad now. It's
Yeah.
absolutely garbage. Like it used to be okay, but now apparently there's like you'll ask her to put on a song through like Amazon Music. I'll be like, yeah, okay, It's like, oh, and I put in a different song. It's like, why'd you put in a different song? It's like, oh, in the same way when you have Amazon Prime movies, sometimes
Yeah,
you have to buy additional videos and TV shows through Amazon to actually watch them. They start
yeah.
doing that a
You
lot on
have two
Amazon Music.
services to use one service.
There's a lot more confusing than something like Netflix is for Amazon Prime or like Spotify, where they
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
sell songs through the device. So it won't like tease you into thinking that you're actually going to get the song you want played,
yeah.
which is very confusing.
The only time I use assistant stuff is when, admittedly, I normally type this if I have my phone out, but like sometimes I just get random like questions like, "Oh, what is this?" And they're older and don't have like a phone right next to them. So like
mm.
you're a younger person, you have to do it. So I've been doing it for that, where I just like ask my watch for it, and it's like,
Oh,
oh, according to Google, it's great.
I just type it into my phone, but I'm quite used to doing like the swipe typing thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. I swipe type, but like if it's just a quick Google, like I just let my phone do it. 'Cause especially if I don't care, I just want to get it over and done with. I don't want to like get my phone out and go, oh, I'm actually doing some research for this, but I'm just like, oh, I just ask my phone, I ask my watch, and just let it give them the
Yeah.
answer. I don't fucking care.
Well,
That's the extent of my
you've got a
Google
Galaxy
Assistant
Watch.
stuff.
I guys, yep, we got it. The Ryzen 7 7700X.
But
Um,
like yeah.
do you remember that video from what was it? Yep, the Verge PC build. Yep, we got
Oh
one.
yeah.
I just remember
We
that
got
meme.
one of those Ryzen CPUs. They're very rare. I
I've
feel
got
like
the
in
new
terms of
Ryzen
pricing and what you're getting,
CPU.
you're probably getting more per pound than I'm getting for my watch. But decent
Well,
watches.
I'm upgrading my I'm upgrading my RAM's failing, so if the podcast dies, then
You know
so be
why?
it. My computer keeps blue screening. It's been broken for a long time. I moved. You went from DDR3 to DDR4. I'm going from
Yes.
DDR4 to DDR5. Do not get DDR5 right now. It is so fucking expensive.
Yeah,
The
there's a
only
reason why I held off on DDR5 and just kept with DDR4
the
as
reason I'm
DDR5 was
making the
going
move
out.
now is because I want my computer's dying, so I need new RAM, and I don't want to get stopgap RAM.
Yeah,
And I'd
you want to
rather be
get a
on
new
the I'd rather
platform.
be on the AM5
Yeah,
platform now with the new Ryzen CPUs with the new
yeah. I guess what I'm
motherboards,
doing is
the
different because like I have like a
X670s.
plan. Yeah, because I have a plan for what I want to do with this PC after, whereas like you'll want to continue to
Oh,
do it. So like that makes
I
sense.
got an Asus TUF motherboard, but there's a spelling error on the Amazon page which just says sus because they forgot the A and it just came with sus Tough Gaming motherboard. I thought it was
Hey, I've
really
got
funny.
a tough sus on this one.
I've got the sus. I got the sus. Guys, we got it. The sus.
Yeah, can you
Yep,
just
we
like
got one.
can you just get a sticker and get rid of the A on everywhere on the motherboard once you get
Yeah,
it?
just
Or
get the
well, you have it.
sus.
Just do it.
Anyway.
Are you getting a new case then, or is it going in the old
No,
case?
it's going to my old case. I don't
Okay.
need a new one.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for the RAM. I'm getting some DDR5 RAM, but look at how fucking big this box is for the NF15 Noctua. I got a Noctua cooler for the CPU because you saw how small the box was.
Hmm.
Ryzen CPUs don't come with coolers anymore. It was the
No.
5600X was the last CPU to come with a cooler from Ryzen. They realized that most people who are buying enthusiast CPUs will buy their own custom CPUs or liquid cooling or already have them.
Considering how much the performance comes from cooling it as well, like it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so I got an NF15, not NHD 15. Sorry,
I'm glad.
F for the fans.
I'm glad not to have fanboys also cannot pronounce their product name because I can't.
Okay, well, I am a villain. I got the one with the two. So I got the reason it's confusing me because it comes with NF15 fans, 140 millimeter
Oh
ones.
right, okay,
So
yeah,
you put those in between the cooling fins, and then it
yeah,
pulls
yeah.
air from the heat
Yeah, push
pipes.
pull.
Yeah, so pulls cool air from the intake and then pushes it out the back, which is So, really cool thing that I want to do, and I think it makes way more sense now. I'm going to air cool my CPU, but Tony,
Yep.
when I get my next
Yep.
GPU, I think it makes way more sense to get a water blocked GPU because the power draw
Like
from
an
the
AIO one.
yeah, so I don't know if I'll be able to get one of these and afford it. But there is, I think it's MSI does the Liquid 4090, which
Well, there isn't. There's a. I mean, whoever it is, I can't remember. There's also the Supreme one,
the
not
Supreme.
quite Supreme.
That's MSI. That's the
That's
MSI
how
one.
MSI is it? Okay.
But it's actually like aside from the attached AIO fans, right? It's actually a reasonably sized, so it would fit in my
Yeah,
case,
yeah, yeah. It's like only
which is
two and a
one of
bit
the big
slots instead of
reasons that I want it.
almost four.
But given that the CPUs going Intel, you're gonna need a fucking beefy cooler or so the reason I didn't go Intel was because they're sort of still on, was it Z970 is the name of the
Yeah, this is
um
the same one for the 12th gen.
they're still on, they're like end of line on the motherboards, right? Whereas AMD you get to move to the new process node and they've
You
shown that they're
yeah.
supporting the software. But
This has been a trend.
I did consider the 13700K. It looked
Yeah,
very good. It was trading blows with the Ryzen and beating it in a lot of games as well.
and
But it
it's a
seems
little
like
bit cheap as well, isn't it?
yeah, I think it's slightly cheaper. It seems like you can't really go wrong with either right now. Just depends overall what you want. But given that other than Intel, I think AMD CPUs are still. I think they've definitely come up with 7000. So I think it's around 95 watts power draw from the CPU. I think air cooling the CPU, and then if you get like a 4090, it's like 450 watts power draw, right? I feel like it
It's
makes
still pretty
way
efficient
more.
when you're not doing anything though.
I feel like it makes way more sense to water cool your GPU and air cool your CPU now, given the space differences.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. If you're going for like 90 series as well, it's a huge. Yeah, I completely agree with
guys,
that.
until we get another Noctua GPU, I mean, the only way to get that cooling performance has got to be the liquid cooling.
Yeah, just wait. Was that what the Asus wasn't it? Like
MSI.
Asus and the was it
Oh,
MSI
sorry
Noctua,
for
wasn't it?
the Noctua one you're talking about.
Yeah,
No, yeah,
you were trying to remember.
Asus did the Noctua, but they only did a 3070. They didn't do a. I don't think they did a 3090. I don't know if they did a 3080 at all.
I thought they did a 3080, but it was a really limited run.
Yeah.
That's only because like the 3070 was super popular.
Hmm. Yeah, 37 was like the best selling card of the last generation.
Yeah, well, it isn't the 70s almost always that super popular, right?
Yeah, it's sort of more. I think it's because it's actually affordable, or it
It's
used
also
to be
like
at least.
before the plateau of like pound for performance or
I
dollar for
heard that they were
performance.
going to release a 4070, but then they can't. They unlaunched it for some reason. I don't know what was going on there.
Well, they renamed it. They put the wrong name on the box, I
The
think.
4070 of this generation is not very popular, Tony.
Yeah,
People didn't like it before it came out.
it was too expensive. It had a different name. It was lying. That's the
All right,
problem.
let's go with the
Anyway, yeah,
podcast.
we're about half an hour in. Those
Random
are
bullshit.
updates of, I guess, 2 and a
Trailers.
bit weeks.
Dwarf Fortress Steam Edition has an official release date, Tony. Can you believe that there's an actual release date for Dwarf Fortress now?
I don't believe it. No, I think it might be pushed
So
back.
it's the official release date is now December 6th, 2022. It's changed from
Okay.
that kooky little it'll be released when it's released or whatever, which we'll talk about later because Steam is changing those custom release date tag things.
To actually be more standard.
But I believe this is launching. I think it's releasing in an early access state. Or at least the guy who makes it, he was saying like this is the state where I feel like the game is releasable in this state with all the updates they've made, like mouse UI and graphics
Yeah, yeah.
updates and stuff like
It's
that.
good enough for one.
Dwarf Fortress seems like a game that the idea of it is super, super cool, but is a game that I would probably never play myself. I don't know. Are you interested at all in Dwarf Fortress?
I don't know. Like, I look at it. I genuinely every time we talk about it, right?
Yeah.
I look at the page and go, this looks pretty good. It's meant to be
Yeah.
coming out, but I don't know. I don't know. I think I have to like really sit down and think about it.
Well, it's coming
It's
out in
just
December. It's coming in approximately 3 weeks. So,
yeah. Well, I don't think it's the fact that it was like, unreleased. Like why I wasn't playing it. Just like haven't. I don't know. I just need to like look at it more maybe.
right. Joe's Weird VR Game of the Week. Here we go. Stranger Things VR. Um, Interesting one. Apparently, you're playing as Vecna, who is like the character from the new series of Stranger Things, that you're getting like your revenge. So I've only seen like the first episode of the new series of Stranger Things, but the idea is there's like a demon who walks into people's dreams, and the idea is that
Oh, Freddy
you're,
Krueger.
yeah, kinda, but more
Okay.
terrifying. Um,
Oh, okay, right.
you sort of go into people's dreams and then do horrible things, and like I guess it's like a sort of a power fantasy of being like that kind of creature. But it's made by a company called Tender Claws, which is really strange that they're working on this because they're known for like making weird. So they made a game called Virtual Reality, and that's like a
Oh,
really
okay.
weird VR game where it's like a VR game inside a VR game, and it's just like, they seem like a pretty good VR dev. So I'm more interested in this product knowing that they're on it, but it seems like a bit of a weird mix. I don't know who else has done like Stranger Things or just horror VR stuff that would be better suited for this. Maybe like the guy what's their names? The guys who did the guys who are doing Green Hell VR. What's their
Oh,
name?
yeah, I don't know what they're called, but yeah.
Look up their name. Creepy Jar does Incuvo. Yeah. Creepy Jar does Green Hell, but I think Incuvo could have been a good shout based on their horror stuff they've done before. But yeah, anyway, looks interesting. I just realized this is a Netflix trailer, so rest in peace, podcast. We will definitely
Oh
be
god,
copyright
okay.
striked for no reason. Delays, cancellations of announcement. Tony, we have an official release date for Atomic Heart. It's no longer coming in Burr. It's coming in Feb. Didn't they do it?
Fab.
Didn't they do a release date going? It's coming in Burr, but they wouldn't say October or November or December. They just said Burr.
Yeah, well, they're trying to tease it out, right?
That's the tease. So February 20th, 2023. Oh, it's close to my birthday. 21st of February it says here. Okay. So the whole time with Atomic Heart, I just have no idea. I didn't even know if this game would ever launch, but I have
Yeah.
no idea. So there's
There
been
were
so
red
many
flags you saw.
there's so many reports about like the developers. We talked about it previously on the podcast how they showed a very like high graphics fidelity trailer, and then it was reported that the game wasn't actually like this at all, but they saw such positive feedback from it, they forced everyone to work on this really high quality version of it, and it seems like it's been a development hell based on behind the scenes sources.
Yeah. Well, if you're gonna feature creep like redo like pivot to match a trailer that didn't represent your original project
So
product, then
I
yeah.
believe they're Russian developers over at Atomic Heart. Mundfish. But we've got a report here that said Atomic Heart trailer developed as a vertical slice. Project suffered crunches and mismanagement. It seems like because the trailer looked pretty impressive from what they showed, but it seems
Yeah.
like the trailer was made up to go, this is everything good in the game, or this is what we want the game to look like, but then under the scenes it might not actually look like that. This one's building up to be kind of potentially disappointing for people, where I think people are getting very hyped up for this game, and I really genuinely hope for the people who are interested in this game it is everything you want. But there's a there's a chance it may not be. It seems like there's some weird mismanagement stuff going on in this studio where different ideas are happening between the higher ups and the developers, and we're going to have to see what state this launches in. Quick news,
Yeah.
Tony. Speaking of Halloween, like we did earlier, they've got Doom running on a chocolate bar.
On a chocolate bar.
Yeah, it's running on a Milky Way.
Right? I'm not sure I understand.
Essentially, they've just taken a chocolate bar and dug a little. I'm guessing it's like a little PCB machine inside there with a
Yeah, they're
screen,
powering it.
like a Raspberry Pi. It's something smaller than a Raspberry Pi, probably. But yeah, it, I just love this meme that we got to get Dune running and everything. I think it's so funny. I don't know when this meme will stop being funny to me, but we'll carry on.
When it starts taking over the world, it won't be fun. When it becomes president of America, it won't be funny anymore.
Netflix has partnered with the Coalition to adapt the Gears of War video game saga into a live-action feature film, followed by an adult animated series. So that's interesting to see. What do you think about Gears of War being turned into a Netflix show?
I'm very curious to know what they're gonna do. I don't have like I know bits and pieces, and most of the stuff I saw were from say 3.
Everyone is saying they want Dave Bautista
But
to play Marcus.
well, yeah, I'm saying I don't people like the characters, but then like the world's a bit confusing.
No, I've played Gears of War 1, and I think that's about it.
Right.
Um,
Right. I played 3, but like not all the way through, and I watched my friend complete it.
I liked Gears of War
But I was
1.
very confused. Okay.
I liked the gameplay of running at people with chainsaws.
Yeah, yeah.
Not sure about the
It's
lore though. It seemed kind of all over the place
well
from what I
with the
remember of the story.
locusts.
Yeah, it seemed weird
Yeah.
how it was like post-apocalyptic, and you were finding it. You were trying to destroy the locusts, but they always kept coming back. And
I didn't understand. Like, there didn't seem to be enough factions to be interesting. If that makes sense, it's like
yeah,
two
we'll
like
have to see.
good versus
Maybe
evil.
they'll just do it as like a straight up zombie thing where the locusts are just
Yeah,
like zombies, and it's just like it'll be like The Walking Dead or something like that, where it's just
I'm curious to know. Like,
post-apocalyptic survival.
I'm wondering if they will add anything like change stuff, to, like try and make it make more sense. So I'm actually curious to see what they change.
I'll be interested to see if they try and make the locusts real characters in the show.
Yeah, that'd be really cool if they could do that, but I'm concerned that they won't. It'll just fall flat.
Hmm. Well, we'll have to see about that. I mean, there's some interesting things going on with Netflix adaptations, which we'll talk about later, I believe. I've written that down somewhere. Anyway, next up we have. Oh, you remember that Destroy All Humans Clone Carnage game? So they released Destroy All Humans 2, and then they released as a pre-order bonus, you could get this Clone Carnage game, which was a bunch of standalone multiplayer missions to play together.
Yeah,
And then you could buy it as a separate game, and it cost like, I think it was like £15 or something. I think it got really bad reviews because
well,
people
it's
were
too
like,
much money for what it was.
yeah, I think it made sense to bundle it in with Destroy All Humans 2. Maybe they
Yeah,
should have just done that with as the game gets bundled in with Destroy All Humans 2,
or like sell it
rather
as like
than
a
a
five
standalone
pound
product.
DLC or
But
something.
it
Yeah.
seems like they just made the decision now to just make it a free-to-play game, so anyone can play this
Oh,
now,
okay.
which is pretty cool.
I would have paid like a little bit towards it, but just not. I would have said like cut it by a
Well,
third and then.
playing this is probably a good advertisement for buying Destroy Humans 2. So
Yeah, that's true.
if you can get a
You get
couple
away with
friends
it.
together to play this game mode together, say, "Oh, it's
That's
free."
the
It's
thing
like,
I
"Oh,
would
this is pretty fun."
recommend. Yeah, I'd recommend getting like the full single player. Like it's very good.
Speaking of games that went free to play, Vermintide 2 was free to claim until November 7th. Like, that's a pretty big game. So it
Interesting.
seems like they're building up the hype train big time for Dark Tide. I mean, it makes
Yeah.
sense. It kind of makes sense for Vermintide 2 to go free to play. It builds hype for Fat Shark's games, especially with Darktide coming out in literally like 2 weeks or something like that, or like less than 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Very
it's
excited to
getting
try
crazy close.
Darktide. That game seems really fun. Then also Vermintide 2 has tons of DLC. Um, not that you, I don't think you need to buy the DLC. I mean, it works on like the Payday 2 system where if the host owns the DLC, everyone else can play the DLC
Okay,
maps
that's good.
and
Yeah.
content. Like I've played like the Beast DLC stuff they did, which added those like Minotaur creatures to the game. As my friend of the DLC, but then it's just there's like a roguelite mission thing that you can get from the DLC as like a thing to play. Um, what else is? Oh, there's like different. There's specific classes in Vermintide which have their own characters to them, and then they change the way you play the game, which is another thing you do through the DLC.
Okay.
One thing that I just thought was really strange is we still have no update on versus mode at all. I don't know if you know this, but in
Okay.
2019 they announced that they were going to be adding versus mode to Vermintide 2, which is one
Yeah,
of the like massive features of these um creatures hordes of creatures versus
yeah. I
oh,
vaguely
things
remember that being a thing
like
that
Left 4
that
Dead
they announced. Yeah, yeah.
has a versus mode and it's really really cool. Like Back for Blood launched without
I
campaign versus
know.
mode. People were very upset with it.
Yeah, every time when this game comes out, there's always like a load of people going, "What is there any versus mode?" And like everyone's always disappointed when there isn't. So like, yeah, I know it's a big
Where's the
thing.
Deep Rock Galactic versus mode? I want to play as a bug.
That'd be
Uh,
amazing. Genuinely, that'd be amazing though.
Honestly, with the mod support that game has, it probably could be
Probably
modded
does.
in. I
Yeah,
mean, there's a VR mod for DRG now, so
it's true.
um,
Probably
I think that would be
exists.
cool to see that happen. But yeah, next up we have so it looks like Fallout 4 will receive a next gen update in 2023,
Yeah, I
including
saw this.
PC.
Yeah.
So it says here, including a performance mode features for high frame rates, quality features for 4K resolution gameplay, bug fixes, which it's a Bethesda game, obviously there's bug, where they're going to at least attempt to fix some bugs, and bonus Creation Club content. So it seems like they're doing something similar to the like they've done with the
The
Skyrim
anniversary stuff. Yeah.
Anniversary Edition. They're adding Creation Club
Well,
game to the base game, but this
they're
is a
calling it the
free
Fallout
update.
25th anniversary bundle.
This is going to be a free update for
Yeah.
anyone
Unlike the Skyrim one.
who already owns this on the next gen consoles or the PC.
I haven't got a next. Oh, I've got a next. Wait, is your new PC going to be a next gen PC? Is my PC going to be a?
Yeah, sorry, Tony. I've
I'm
got
on
the
an old
next
gen.
gen PC.
What generation PC have you got?
But again, as we always have to say every time Bethesda does something like this will ultimately fuck up every single mod that's ever been made for the
Yeah.
game, probably.
And they don't have proper like a version selection. They refuse to like keep older versions ready to install. So it's kind of dumb.
We'll have to see if this update is any good. I've still never gone back to. Started to play Fallout 4 and I got really bored. I got it on like
Yeah.
near release and
Mhm.
I got bogged down by settlement stuff and just not
Yeah.
really engaging story. And I was like,
I started with
the
some
graphics are
stuff.
good, but this kind of sucks.
Yeah. I started with some of them going, this isn't what I wanted, and I like I like the idea of some stuff, and it wasn't for me. And I was like, I'll just do like the shooting mission, not even like
I don't
the
know,
main
because
missions,
like
just like interest, trying to find interesting stuff, and I still got bored. So
it seems like so far Bethesda's kind of gone up because Fallout 76 when I played that, a lot of that was reminding me of the stuff I was playing in Fallout 4. So it seems like that's the direction they're kind of going with Fallout now, is just walk around and collect as much junk as possible so you can turn it into like settlement stuff, and it just seems kind of mindless. It's more like an MMO than an RPG, which I really hate, given that
yeah,
Fallout
there's all the
4 is a
bad
single player game.
parts as well, but in a single place, like it has none of the appeal because it's just a single player game, right? And then, but sorry, a single player game designed to be multiplayer and then Because like what I find crazy is that the mechanics are like I don't know. Because like it's still the creation engine, right? Like I just feel like it's
Yeah.
not designed for multiplayer.
Well,
Like,
is Starfield gonna be on Unreal
yeah.
Engine 5?
Uh, I can't. I swear it was creation engine.
Was it Creation Engine again?
Yeah, I swear it was.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Yeah, it's creation engine
But
two.
is Creation Engine 2 like the next iteration of the Creation Engine?
Yeah, it's not like redone. Apparently, it's just like modified creation engine.
Yeah,
That's what I'm reading at the moment.
we'll have to see. I mean, Starfield looks okay from what I've seen so far. We just really
Yeah,
don't know anything about it, honestly.
from what I saw from the trailer, it looked okay with no mechanics. It looked interesting. So
Just gonna have to wait till it releases and see if it's a Cyberpunk 2077 or not. Honestly, I should say we just wait and see if it's a Bethesda or not. But
yeah, I don't think it'll be a Cyberpunk. I think it's gonna be like a Fallout 4 release. In my opinion, that's my prediction.
right, it'll just release
I,
without key features, sort of thing.
yeah, I think it will be underwhelming, but like loads of people will still love it for some reason.
Yeah.
That's my prediction.
Anyway, looks like Sony added commercial licenses for most of their games on Steam. I think this just seems to be more so like that companies can now license out games for use in a cyber cafe or like a PC bong or other
Oh,
commercial environments. So it seems like you'll
don't
be
have
able
to own
to.
it.
So you'll be able to buy a license to
Yeah,
Horizon Zero Dawn, and then anyone who comes into the cafe will be able to play
like
Horizon
up
Zero
to
Dawn
50.
on their Steam
Yeah,
account without owning it,
yeah,
sort of thing,
yeah,
which is
yeah.
like a big
You have
draw for
like
those like PC bonds and internet cafes and stuff like that.
yeah, it's sort of like how like businesses like buy like operating systems and things.
Hmm. Seems good because I think Battle.net has this system in place as well, where lots of PC bongs and stuff have like you can go and play Overwatch, or you can go and play. Well, Overwatch is free now, but before it was free, that was like a big draw. Um, Next up, we have CG Projekt Red is remaking The Witcher. The original Witcher game is being remade with Fool's Theory, who are a studio home to a bunch of ex-CG Projekt Red developers, using Unreal Engine 5 with codename Canis Majoris. So this is really interesting because I think The Witcher 1, in my opinion, is the most hard Witcher game to play in current
Yep,
year based on its
yep,
mechanics. And
yep.
I mean, like graphically, it looks a little bit dated, but it's not all that bad. I think.
Well, Gravity is very dated, but like you can like get over that.
Yeah, I mean, so I've attempted to play The Witcher 1, but just could not get past the fucking combat in that game.
You know, for me, I was able to get past the combat.
Yeah,
I found it really, really difficult to like, because I wanted to do because it's like an interesting story, right?
yeah,
I think it does deserve a remake. It's an interesting story, but I found it really hard to track certain quests. Like it's really easy to track like
it's
the
now
main
questioning.
quest, but not the interesting side quest. And I couldn't figure out on something like, oh, do I need to wait for the next chapter to do this, or is this only this chapter?
Well,
They need to like update the quest manager.
so we're gonna get the next gen update for The Witcher 3 soon, and then we'll have a full remastering of The Witcher remake sometime.
Yeah,
I'm guessing many years in the future now, because that's going to be a
I
big project.
assume. I have a
Yeah,
question. I assume saves that you create in The Witcher One will be compatible to importing into The Witcher Two, and then
yeah.
into
I know
Three.
you can import Witcher 2 save choices
Yeah,
into The Witcher 3. I've been playing
yeah,
so I've been playing a lot of The Witcher 3 recently. I haven't done a Tangerine on it yet. We need to do some more Tangerines, but I have finished The Witcher 3. My thoughts on it are um, that the world and the story are fucking amazing, but
hmm
the movement and combat in that game is still fucking awful. I hate it.
yeah. It's
Um,
definitely an acquired taste.
like I absolutely adore the world, the setting, the
Yeah,
story. I think it's
the characters
amazing.
and yeah,
Um, but the movement in that game is like it's like trying to control an RC car made out of jelly. Is the best way I can control it, especially
right.
like horse movement as well. I don't know. I have some beef with that game, but it's a I would say it's like a flawed masterpiece or flawed good game. I wouldn't. Some
Yeah,
people would say flawed masterpiece, but I don't know if I'd go that far. On The Witcher 3, I think
they're just
it's a
issues with
very
the
good game. It's a very good game, that's
yeah.
for sure. Um, but yeah, I think this. Oh, speaking of Witcher news, I don't know. So I'm a big fan of the Witcher Netflix show. I think it's really, really good. I don't know if
Mhm.
you've heard about this, but apparently, so they finished filming The Witcher season 3 with Henry Cavill. Immediately, we saw like the screenshots of Henry Cavill, and I said in the podcast, I was like, "That's Superman in a wig. That looks really strange." And I just thought it was like
Yeah.
uncanny valley from me, from him being cast as Superman and seeing him as Superman
Yeah,
so much.
you see him from other stuff.
But I gave the show a chance. I watched it, and I really liked The Witcher. I think it really got its footing in season 2
Yeah.
because of the weird time stuff they did in season 1. But I
I
really
don't like the time stuff doesn't work for me.
I really came to love Cavill as The Witcher. I think he does a really good job as playing Geralt. But they have announced on, I think I saw on Twitter, that they're going to be replacing Henry Cavill from season 4 with Liam Hemsworth. I don't know if you've heard about this.
No, I have not.
So it seems
Interesting.
like they haven't given us like full reasons of why they're doing this or what the what's going on. But from inside sources, it seems like what happened was apparently the writers of the Netflix show of The Witcher hate the source material. They hate the books and they hate the games.
Okay.
And they want to do their own thing with the Witcher
Alright,
IP, which is
fair
just
enough.
really strange. But according to sources, Henry Cavill is very much we should do. He's like a huge proponent for the book, and he's like, well,
Yeah.
Geralt should do this, Geralt should do this. So so that it seems like there's a clash between the two. This is just speculation, but the writers want to be like, we want to make our own thing. We want to stand on our own. We don't want to like lean too much on the source material. Whereas it seems like Henry Cavill is much more like in the books. Geralt is like a philosopher, and he should be talking more and giving more ideas. He's a really smart.
Yeah.
He's a really smart character. Whereas they're like, no, he should be very stoic and quiet and cool and calm and stuff like that, and not talk too much. But it seems like I think there's like people made like a change.org article, change.org petition to keep him in as the Witcher, and it reached like 150,000 signatures or
Oh,
something
really?
crazy.
Jesus.
Yeah, so people were very upset. I read the news and I thought it was a fake Twitter account
Oh, right.
that posted it.
Yeah. It's a shame. Okay, I realize that this is like not possible, but in a way, it's kind of a shame that they couldn't do both. Like, I'd be
Yeah,
kind of interested to like have like an alternative, but then one is also like in keeping with the books. Like, both
mm.
would be interesting to me.
It seems like so from what I read, they said that originally Liam Hemsworth was the first choice for Geralt through auditioning
Really?
tapes. Yeah.
Couldn't
Um,
get?
but they initially decided to go with Henry Cavill instead. But when I think what also happened is half of it seems to be disagreements between Cavill and the Netflix, but also I think one of the big reasons is Cavill's getting paid a bunch of money to go back and play Superman again for
Oh,
DC, and
right.
it seems
So he
like there's
doesn't
going
want
to
that.
be like big filming schedule conflicts. So I
Right.
think it's just like they've decided to just call it quits. It is really strange to see them changing the main actor in a show like in season 4. I mean, the last time I remember something, the last time something like this happens, and I'm like, this is fine. You don't notice this was in Doctor Who, but that's explained in the
It
series that he
they
regenerates.
designed the mechanics and the law of it to work like that. So yeah.
I don't know if you saw the new episode of Doctor Who, but
No, I haven't yet.
are you going to watch it? Do you want me to spoil
I
it?
don't. You can spoil it, but I probably will.
Okay, well, I watched the last 15 minutes because I heard what happened. So this is
Okay.
spoilers, but because the fucking non. I really like Russell T Davies writing, and as
Yeah,
soon as he left the show, I was like, "Fuck this show. This is awful."
kind of. Yeah,
Um, but he's coming back for a new series. Um, the Doctor regenerated back into David Tennant. I don't know if you know this,
I know as like a special, like bringing back a few of the old Doctors. Yeah,
but Jodie Whittaker regenerated into David Tennant, and apparently he's going to be locked in for like 3 episodes at least. So
yeah,
it
yeah.
seems like the first 3 episodes of the new series will be David Tennant's Doctor, so it's going to be really interesting to see him come back for that role, because he's personally my favorite Doctor.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. He's really good.
and with Russell T Davies writing as well, I think that could be really good. I think there could be a return to form there.
The
But I
only I
think
would
that's one of the
some
only shows where
caution.
I'm like, oh, they replaced the main actor for the show. Yeah, that's fine. That
Yeah,
happens all the time.
my
The
only
Witch is kind of
caution I would
sus.
advise
The
there
Witch
is
is.
that
Oh,
it's not just Russell T Davis writing those first three, is my understanding.
yeah. We'll have to wait and see.
Like
I
he's not
mean,
the showrunner still. Like
we're
until
definitely
after
we're
the
definitely
three.
going to be talking about Doctor Who again on the podcast, whether we're recording
Yeah,
or not. So we'll wait and see. Uh, yeah, I think the Witcher one was a big like slap to the face. Where I'm just like, what? That is so fucking strange.
yeah. Especially saying how passionate Cavill is
I mean, yeah,
about
because it
the
seems like
subject.
I know he's like a huge Warhammer fan. He's a huge
Yeah.
Witcher fan. Like he's read all the books. He reads a lot.
Well, he's
Um,
played the games as well, right?
yeah, I believe so. So we'll have to wait and see. Like, I will give season 4 a chance with Liam, but we'll wait and see if he. I mean, honestly, I don't know much about Liam Hemsworth and how much he knows about the source material. Whether he's just going to be like, "All right,
Well,
fuck the books, let's do what Netflix
well,
wants."
it's possible that the writers are gonna like change it more than the actor, and possibly. Obviously, there's different portrayals of actors, but yeah, it kind of I don't know. It kind of sucks. Again, like in a perfect world, like you would do both and just have like a forking, a
Yeah.
forking storyline at this point.
Yeah. Next we have the fight has begun. The author of Disco Elysium sued the studio ZAUM. So we talked about this, that
Yeah.
the lead game designer was let go from Disco Elysium. Everyone was like, "What the fuck's going on?" And then it seemed like the studio was looking for like monetization stuff or something like along those lines. It seemed like, oh, maybe they ousted him because they wanted to do some scummy business stuff. It seems like there's an official lawsuit going on now, where they're going to try and sue the company. We'll have to wait and see how that turns out. But that is really interesting. What's going to happen with the next Disco Elysium game? Because it seems like it may be in hot waters right now.
We might need a spiritual successor with a different name instead of the one from the actual studio.
Yeah, sometimes spiritual successors aren't that great though. They're not as great as like from playing
No.
the Outer Worlds. I gotta say, spiritual successors are not always as great as you want them to be.
Well, I don't think that was the spiritual successor to it. I think that's completely.
I think
I think it's like.
it is kind of a spiritual successor in New Vegas in
I think
some
it's
ways.
heavily inspired by the same studio, but I don't consider it the same thing. I think in this case, this is like would exactly be the same, but it is also possible. Like I know, like people attribute like success of like a franchise to like the people, like the writers or the directors at the top, where it's like
Mm.
actually a lot of people underneath were also like involved in like how it was why it was
Yeah.
good. So like, yeah, you have to be careful.
So
Apparently,
so
is it called
we got a
Zal?
post here. Key developers of Disco Elysium have accused third-party shareholders of fraudulently taking over the studio and wasting money on a sequel.
Right.
See if we get more information on this. This was just posted like 2 hours ago.
Because the wording is like they like demanded the original people to leave. That's a quote from someone. I don't know where that quote's from.
Majority shareholder Zom, which owns the rights to Disco Elysium, was bought in 2021 by its minority shareholder, the Estonian company Tutrakeu. I'm not going to pronounce that right, which is controlled by two businessmen. As a result, Kovitz and Rostov, who were minority shareholders in CAUM, were quickly removed from day-to-day operations and company information. The termination followed a few weeks after the developers began demanding documentation and financial data on the studio from the new majority shareholder. Seems like they were kind of just bought and bullied out of the company, which is kind of a shame to see, but I have to wait and see
that
how
happens a lot, though.
This goes
especially
down.
like higher ups positions.
Let's move on to Steam news. So, updated Big Picture is now available for testing. So you can now play around with Big Picture on your Steam on your desktop. This is very good for people who like to browse Steam with a controller, use it on a television, or
Steam in bed.
like that. Oh, well, Steam in bed is one of the greatest things. I still have a Steam controller, and I still use it to control my PC from bed. It is still very useful.
It's really useful. Yeah.
It was a very useful controller, and I talked about this, but I was so surprised how much of the Steam Deck I see in their design of the Steam controller.
It's crazy.
It was so ahead of its time, the Steam controller. It wasn't necessarily a good product, but it
was okay.
It wasn't. People weren't ready for what it was good at, which was playing games with controller that didn't have native controller support and as a multimedia remote for your PC. I don't think it wasn't a particularly good game controller.
Imagine if it was like a one-hand, like imagine making it so it could work one-handed. Oh, like as a multimedia PC controller.
You've been buying the SUS motherboard? One-handed SUS?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking that, like, could you? Oh, I've got ideas.
Okay, well. So the new controller configuration UI is coming with this as well, and from what I've heard, it's really, really good. The new controller configuration.
Is it properly implemented into the configuration settings, or is it its own weird application?
I'm not 100% sure, but I heard it's miles above the current Steam custom control thing that they have.
The current configuration one is fine. I thought it's acceptable, but there's some oddities with it. But if it's miles better than that, I'm curious to see how it's going to work.
Next up we have SteamOS appears to be prepping for an official desktop release as well. So it seems like you'll be able to just run the Linux kernel on your PC, which will be interesting to see.
Dual boot your main PC.
Yeah, have like a gaming.
Yeah, because we're missing driver stuff before, weren't we?
Just have like a gaming-focused Linux kernel that you want to put on to just quickly go through games. Could be pretty useful.
I will genuinely try this because you can even, if you don't want a dual boot, you can also just do like a virtual machine on your Windows machine. So that's
I heard it was harder with. Isn't it harder with TMP? Is it TMP or is it Secure Boot that makes it harder to dual boot?
The TMP should be. There is oddities stuff with like
Secure Boot that makes it harder.
Well, no, there are oddities with TMP where you have to like pass it through. Like you have to like whoever owns that keys have you have to then push it through. And if it's like secured in a weird way, you can't. But Secure Boot can be an issue, but it should be fine if you do certain things. But yeah, I don't know. You can. My understanding is you can have Secure Boot off for one install and like on for another one. Okay. I think this like TPM stuff is like more of an issue in terms of like handling key transfers. You need to use the same keys.
So we have Valve is seemingly working on peer-to-peer downloads over LAN for Steam.
Like your own like mini LAN play stuff.
Yeah, this is super fucking useful. So
I mean, if you try both download like a multiplayer game, like one person does it already. Like, I just downloaded it from you.
For the longest time, I don't know if you've seen like Linus's videos on building your own caching server for like Steam and other games, stuff like that. I'm like,
I find that very
this is super, super useful for people who have more than one gamer in the house. Like my friend and his wife both game, and they both frequently download the same game, and they don't have at least until I think recently, they didn't have the greatest internet. I'm like, you're always downloading the game twice. It would make so much more sense if you had like a caching server or something, so one person downloaded it and the other person could just get the files immediately. But if this is implemented straight into Steam, this will be so useful for people with multiple gamers both trying to download the same game.
I was I was first thinking like, oh, this would be great for like university,
Well, I think this is
like
going to be
housing.
huge for like LAN parties and internet
Oh
cafes and
yeah,
stuff like that. Super
especially
useful.
you don't have to like get someone else in to do it. It just works already. Yeah.
It just works.
But yeah, I didn't even think about the fact that yeah, like more and more people, like more and more couples and stuff are like both playing games, like households are
Gamer
just like
couples
more
rejoice.
gamers. Yeah, there's a lot of them. Apparently, there's loads of them. So
There's dozens of
it's
us.
good to see. I mean, I
Uh,
know two, three separate couples that do that. So
Couples that game together stay together.
yeah, I don't know about
Unless
that, but yeah,
they play League of Legends together, in which case
yeah.
they get divorced. Next up we have update date displays a listing for upcoming Steam releases. So I talked about this. Do you remember how they made it so you could change the coming soon on Steam things to be goofy, like it'll be finished when it's finished, or
Yeah.
it'll be done when it's done. So basically, they said, yeah, this was like a really cool. We thought this was really cool, but it turned out it was a localization nightmare because we then
Oh,
had
I
to
knew about that.
translate that
Yeah.
official. We had to translate that text into like the 20 plus languages that you can use on Steam, which is kind of crazy. So there is new formatting rules that you have to follow.
Right. So it's
So the only
automatically
moving
localized.
forward, developers will have to set an exact intended release date, which is not visible to players. Separately, devs can also choose their desired store display from 5 options, with the freedom to adjust
Right.
between these options as they see fit prior to release. So you have to
Yeah.
have a release date. You don't have to make it visible in case you delay it. But if you want to show an official release date, it has to be the exact date. So, e.g., August 24th, 2023, month and year, August 2023, the quarter of the calendar year, so Q3 2023, the year 2023, or no date at all, coming soon. So you no longer can have those cute little custom design, like goofy custom designed coming soon things, which I thought were cool. But I understand probably a localization nightmare, so
Yeah. I consider
that's
that
probably
problem.
better for non-native speakers who just want to know when the game's coming, sort of thing. So, and it's more consistent.
Yeah.
Like if you don't know when your game's coming, you just put coming soon. People were saying there should be an option to say coming when it comes, or coming soon kind of implies that it will be out soon,
Yeah.
rather than saying, look, we don't know when that, like we're not sure when the release date is.
Coming whenever, I think, is a potentially not an extra option. Yeah,
Mm,
that'd be good.
or just yeah, I don't know. Solution is there. Let's go. We've got Steam's new update to regional pricing suggestions. So Steam now has new regional pricing suggestions for $60 games. So this will give you recommendations based on the 39 currencies that are currently available on Steam. And I think someone's made a chart showing you the changes. So it seems like everything is more expensive now. I think that's the way the world's kind of going.
Hmm.
Kind of sucks for like the companies that have like really really bad conversions. I mean, this is suggested, so none of the developers have to use this. But this is just Valve saying, hey, if you have no idea how much to set your game in like the Chilean peso, here's our suggestion for how much it probably should cost in that market, which
Yeah,
is useful for
compared to you.
developers.
Yeah,
But
especially if you're new to this, so you don't have like a mic. If you're just like an indie, yeah, you're not gonna have what the publishers have to like market
it's
these.
so
So yeah, it's good.
for us, Tony. It went from a $60 game in the UK. I think was it 45? Let me find it on this chart.
It should be
British
about 50 with
pound. So
taxes, right?
£46.49 was the old suggested price. It's now
All right.
£49.99. So it's gone from about
That's fine.
£45 to like £50 now is the suggested
Considering it
price.
should be the same at this point, that's pretty good.
We only got a 7% increase, which seems to be pretty good compared to some
Maybe
of the other
Gabe likes the
people.
UK.
Let's have a look. How did the US do? Where is it? I never. It'd be called the dollar, right? The US dollar. Oh, well, we're comparing to the US dollar, aren't we?
Yeah, it should be 1-to-1, right?
The Australian dollar, $84 to $87. So they only saw a 3% increase. But I've heard from Australian people that game prices are already fucked in terms of how expensive it is
Well,
to buy games in
isn't
Australia.
that tax problems though? Not
Mm.
like it's like huge added tax from the government,
The
like
euro saw
more than
the
it
euro
should
saw a
be.
pretty big increase. It seems like
Yeah,
Europe is getting really fucked by regional prices and like just
I'm
generally.
I'm surprised the UK isn't because they both like the dollar was like more than sorry, the euro was more than the dollar and the pound was even more than the euro, but then they've all come quite close to each other. So I'm kind of
Yeah.
surprised
So the
that
euro
we
went
didn't
from
get
fifth.
fucked more.
The euro went from £50 to almost six. Sorry, €50 to almost €60, which is
That's yeah.
which is kind of crazy.
Like euro to USD is about 1 to 1, but like we're not the Great British Pound isn't that far off, so I found it a bit crazy.
Let's move on. Oh, and final news: Cave Johnson has been announced as a voice pack for Dota 2, and they had this really funny video. I'm not going to show it because it's quite long, but there's this funny video where Slacks and Casey get called into the recording studio, and they have to appease a Gabe Newell who is playing this like really big like asshole dictator guy who's like, "Oh, you have to do this, you have to do this." I don't. You should watch the video. It's pretty funny. But it's cool to see Gabe Newell still like actually getting involved with like random Steam
Yeah,
things.
that is cool.
Yeah, let's move on to Blunders. 3 days after launch, Activision disables Modern Warfare 2 family sharing on Steam. This is probably to do with the fact that, well, they said the family sharing FAQ states that due to technical limitations, some Steam games may be unavailable for sharing, including those that require third-party keys, accounts, and subscriptions. I guess this is maybe to do with cheaters. It seems like family sharing with multiplayer games is often used as a cheating loophole, where you just family share to another account and then cheat on that one. Or uh,
Yeah.
maybe an anti-cheat move. But the
So
reason I bring this up is it sucks to remove a feature that was advertised like pre-launch and then remove it post-launch because you're
if cheaters are using it to like cheat, wouldn't you just ban both of them?
yeah, I don't know how it all works or how the manipulation of the family sharing was
Yeah.
working. But maybe it's harder for people who aren't Steam to ban those guys because to
Yeah,
them
maybe it's not like exposed to them.
they're going, oh, the account's on this Steam account. Let's remove the game from that Steam account. And then it's like, well, it was just being family shared for another account. It's just a dummy
Yeah,
account.
it doesn't display it for privacy
I
reasons.
don't know. The
But
reason
I would just
I
say
bring this
like
up
that
is
has to
that
be shown.
some people legitimately buy games based on their features, especially they go, hey, I want to buy this game so my cousin or whatever can have a go and play
Yeah.
on it after I'm finished playing with it or whatever, right? So it sucks that this was removed post launch. If you didn't want this feature because it was going to affect how account integration or cheating was going to work, you shouldn't have advertised it as having this, which is why I'm calling them out now.
Yeah. Removing it after the fact feels bad.
But ultimately, to me, it's sort of like a smaller thing, but I think it should have been dealt with in a different way.
Yeah.
Oh, Tony, I want to ask
100%.
you about this because I have no fucking idea anything about this, but apparently Kerbal Space Program on Steam has added a launcher in the latest update. What's going on? Do you know?
I don't know. From what I can tell, it doesn't do anything
So
that's
from what I
useful.
understand, it's on by default and you can't
Yep.
turn it off.
Yep, like
Why
all
do
third party
why do you
launchers.
need a launcher for Kerbal Space Program?
Well, I haven't looked into it enough, but technically they could have made it so like they could have actually made it handy to like install mods. Like it could have like instance mod folders and things. I
Yeah.
don't I don't think it's doing that though, but I haven't looked into it properly, so it might be. I mean,
Right.
I've seen more news from Kerbal Space Program 2. I was kind of focusing on that, so
Yeah, it just seems because when you get like the 2K launcher added, it's usually like we're going to add the 2K launcher. It's going to add a bunch of ads for other
yeah.
games and stuff like
Or the
that. It's
City
like,
Skylines
oh,
launcher.
this sucks. Yeah, but with KSP,
Like at least
they
the
just added the
Paradox
launcher.
launchers in general, like that.
Maybe the
Oh.
idea is they're going to add a launcher and you can launch between KSP 1 and KSP 2. Maybe.
Yeah, my understanding is that they're gonna be yeah, because the KSP 2's beta's coming out next year, I think they
Right.
said. I don't know if it's going to be through this launcher that you launch, or it's just its own separate thing. I have no idea. I am not a
I think
fan
this
of trying to make them
the
launch.
the sentiment right now is if you're going to add a launcher, it should probably be optional at least.
At least have like a command in Steam you can run. Even then, I think you could have a drop down say ignore, but at least have an option you can run in the argument say disable launcher.
It's kind of witty.
That's what I'm saying. Like you shouldn't
So
have to go through the
this one's
launcher.
kind of a funny story. Denuvo was removed from Gotham Knights in just 5 days after its launch, and you're like, Joe, why is this a blunder? Apparently, it got added back to the game because it was removed by mistake. It seems like it was removed by mistake.
Okay.
I don't know what the fuck's going on here.
Well, it's almost if to have Nova, you have to like install stuff added onto your game
So
in a weird way that you might accidentally delete it.
not only do pirates have access to the non-Denuvo version, but now people who have the official version have to use the version with Denuvo, which is DRM.
Pointless.
So it's just the worst of both worlds. I don't understand what the fuck they're doing here. I mean, it seems like this may be the least of Gotham Knights' problems right now, but Jesus Christ. This is a bit of a blunder. A bit of a blunder.
Is a bit of disappointment. I say a bit of a disappointment. A lot of a disappointment. Yeah, yeah. I'm not surprised considering
let's move on to tech news. Lots of developers claim many studios. Developers claim many studios are asking Xbox to drop mandatory Series S compatibility. We've seen like a lot of stories recently where devs are saying that the Series S is holding back their games on the Series X, but they're having to pull them back in order to keep them in check for the
Isn't one of
Series
those developers the people who made Gotham Knights, though?
So we talked about how Gotham Knights apparently was complaining that the Series S was holding back the Series X version. But that game is CPU limited as fuck, and the Series S and the Series X have the exact same CPU, so this makes absolutely no sense for their reason.
There are other developers, and they may have a point. So
there's big like GPU and RAM differences between the Series X and the S, from what I understand.
Well, I can kind of I can kind of understand both sides of this, but surely, clearly having like you have to validate like you've got like these. Assuming you have like a 30 frames per second and a 60 frames per second mode for like the Series X. Presumably, you're going to have at least 1 or 2 modes for the Series X. So like you've either added 50% or doubled the amount of like testing and quality assurance that you have to do now. But I may be completely wrong here, but I can't imagine that being like totally awful. Like, and I can respect Microsoft's point of view is like, but we want you to release games for the series consoles.
If you look over at Sony, they only have one SKU, which I can see why devs are like, well, we only have to make one version for the PS5. But
why just make a lesser SKU? Like, turn down the sales.
One thing that's interesting is apparently the Series S was estimated to have outsold the Series X in several key markets during the first year of the console's release. So it seems like from Microsoft's end, they're like, hey, we really want a version of the Series S because loads of people have a Series S.
Yeah.
But I can see it from the other side where, like, hey, I don't want my games held back by less capable hardware. It does kind of suck, but especially when you know that a lot of these games are being developed for the consoles first and then being ported over to PC.
Yeah, I know, but I don't understand because sure you have a scalable slide like, oh, we can't have all the trees on, we'll have half the trees on.
But that's more development.
I don't understand. Like, turn down the settings.
That's more development resources to make a lesser
impressive
version.
Which, as we know these days, than a PC version.
Right, but games are struggling to meet their release dates right now. There's incredible amounts of crunch and expectations on developers to release the games, and then being told, "Oh, by the way, you have to make this run on a much less technologically advanced piece of software." Hardware.
I would say this.
Like imagine if you were making a game for PC, right? And you were about to finish making the PC version, and somebody goes, "You need to make this run on a Switch." You would be like, "Shit."
Well, no. Well, hang on. I think the comparison is you have 2 years before. It's like you have to make it for the Switch and the PlayStation. It's not suddenly you've been told this.
Yeah,
You
okay,
knew this from the outset.
but
I would say
that
this.
would really hamstring your development of the
I
game.
don't. Would it hamstring me? Because I just need to change what it can run on. I've added an extra system, which is the same architecture but less.
I mean, but I think the big thing they were saying was it's the memory constraints where it's a
Yeah,
lot harder to get the game to run with the lesser memory
yeah.
constraints. I don't know.
You need to like really pull back on assets and even some of like the AI stuff. But I would say this though, I feel
Yeah.
like forcing them to release at the same time on both is probably like a massive part. Like
Oh,
forcing
but
them to
then your
commit to both
seg
later is probably
seg.
fine.
I believe the way it works is you have the same disc for an X or an S. But
Right.
segmenting them
Okay.
into two different sales is another confusing part that a conversation we would be going into.
Yeah.
I believe that's how. I don't own an Xbox.
I don't know. In my opinion, like I think you have to do it for both. I think it's really awkward. Like even if you don't do the staggered thing, you just say they don't have to do one or the other. You have to still change it to be only works on Series X, which is awful if you bought a Series S. I think it's you just have to have it. If you're making a game for the series consoles, you have to that has to be a part of your costs. But I can understand problems, but I don't know. I think it's going to be very difficult to like.
Mm.
If you are going to change that, it's going to be very difficult to show to the consumer what's actually happening. I think that's going to be even worse.
All right. It's oh, I don't know if you've seen it, but apparently Nvidia is investigating reports of RTX 4090 power cables burning or
Yeah.
melting. I don't know if
Have
you've
you seen
seen.
the Gamers Nexus like
No, I have
investigation into
not.
this? Okay.
I've seen some of the stuff about it. So apparently, it seems like at first it seems like it's an adapter issue with the one included in the box from Nvidia so far, from what we've
Yeah.
seen. But and there's even been reports of retailers delaying 4090 launch in Australia due to cable concerns, and it seems like people are not wanting to. I know see J2 Cent said he has a friend who has a 4090 and he's not going to plug it in.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
sitting
yeah.
in a box because he's worried about the cable.
But
Uh, and people are buying like cable mod cables to try and fix it. But we've also seen reports of native 12 VHPWR
yeah.
implementations. At least two cases have already been reported of native cables also burning out. So it seems like it's not just the adapter that NVIDIA is
I
including in the
have
box.
Okay, I wanna quickly go over. I would
Yeah,
advise everyone to watch the Gamers Nexus video on this.
yeah,
But J2 Sense quotes like in his video, like one of his videos, like I think his name's Billzoid.
yeah,
Um, when Gamers Nexus took his one apart, it was soldered completely differently to that one, and could
yeah,
not. And he thinks the reason why Jay's couldn't break his one is because Jay's 2 Senses cable is made in the same way as all 6 of the cables that Gamers Nexus has.
yeah.
So Gamers Nexus, as of like last week,
So
wanted
far,
people who
like
had burnt out
it's
cables
it
to send
seems
to
like
him.
there has been at least a few cases of this happening. There is a pattern,
Yeah,
but it seems like it's still a smaller number
I
of people that it's
yeah,
happening to. It's not like a
I
widespread issue so far that we know.
my assumption is they've got different manufacturers for different regions and different products in different regions,
Yeah,
and a couple of the manufacturers are made. A couple of the manufacturers have made this cable for both the native and the adapter in such a way that it's soldered in a way that it can pull pins out, and then things are suddenly shorted, and then huge heat goes through one cable and burns everything out. Is That's my assumption of what's happening. That's like really vague and like overarching, but like I don't think it's like widespread. Like oh, if you have this cable, but at the same time, if you're a normal consumer, how do you know you have the good cable or not? So like I feel like
yeah.
yeah, waiting to see where the bad cables actually are and what the actual problem is probably good.
Mm. It makes
But I
me
don't
It makes me
I know a lot of people
interested.
distrust the cable and the connector. And I don't think you should do that.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question right now, Tony. Let's say you
Hmm.
just bought a 4090 that was at your house. Are you plugging in the cable from Nvidia? Yes or no? Would you leave it in the box,
Yes.
or are you plugging it in?
No, I'm plugging it.
Okay, interesting.
For me, I know there's a lot of reports of it, but considering how many 1490s have sold, it still seems like a low
Yeah,
percentage.
it feels
But
like
it
a
is still technically on the dice. We don't know what, like, I don't know. I have nowhere to
okay.
verify that my
Let's
cable
say
isn't blind.
option two. Um,
Hmm.
would you leave it in the box and not plug it in? Would you plug it in straight away, or would you buy the cable mod cable and plug it in?
Well, I have a Corsair power supply now, so I'd probably get like the Corsair one, but I guess the same difference. In terms of cable management, I would genuinely buy the special cable because like it's a
Right.
lot simpler.
Okay.
I would probably trust that more, even though I know there are like some connectors. I don't know. I don't know which native connectors were
I
failing. Do we
mean,
know
we
like which brand it was?
native connect the ones
It's
Nvidia
like
was
the one that
including in
actually
the
within the
box.
box.
The one
Okay.
Nvidia was giving people. I mean, again, we've had a case
No,
of
but
like one of the 12 VHBWR
I thought they
cables
couldn't. Yeah, but I
burning
thought
up
they
as
couldn't do that
well.
though, because there
So
were
it may
different
not.
pinouts on the power supply
It
side, so
may
like you
like
never knew what it was connecting to.
getting your own custom one from someone like Cable One may not even save you because
Okay.
we've had a couple of cases that I talked about earlier of them burning out, but we'll have to
Were they cable
wait and see.
mod?
I
Were
don't know
they
if they're a
cable mod
cable mod.
notifications?
They were just 12
This is part of the point that I
VHBWR.
find a bit infuriating. I don't really know. Obviously, okay. Obviously, the adapters, like obviously, they're saying that they came from Nvidia, but I don't know which regions or like where these people live. I'm really curious to know, like, is it like a certain region or is it like across the globe? And I just feel like I haven't got quite enough information to like to see anything. So I don't know. Yeah. For me personally, I would
Well,
plug it
the
in and I see
idea
what
of like the
happens.
cable mod adapter is it's angled. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
it so there's less chance of it bending or thermally throttling or causing the burnout to happen.
Hmm.
We'll have to wait and see. Like,
Well, the
I don't
fact that
know. Do you
you've already getting someone else that you trust to like solder it
what do you
together,
think
I think you
Nvidia
trust
has
them.
to do about this? They said they're investigating the reports, according to a
Yeah.
statement from The Verge. Do
I
you?
assume they're doing what I want to do,
I
but
don't think
secretly.
Nvidia is going to come out and say, "Hey, we're recalling 4090 adapters. Please send them back."
I don't think I
Um,
don't think the problem is all adapters. So I think they're going to find out like, which manufacturer is causing the problem and recall those.
hmm. Do you think there's a chance that it's the 4090 causing this at all?
I don't think so because the
Okay.
damage hasn't been on the 4090 and like the cable breaks.
It's just we haven't had a card with this much power draw before. It just seems like
Yeah,
crazy
and these are
with
new connectors.
yeah.
The other thing I wanted to dispel as well. I know, like early on, people like, oh, even Nvidia said like it was bad. It's like those are old. Those when they were still working on the connector, and there's like back and forth internally. You cannot use those to like draw conclusions after they made it. That's kind of
Well,
dumb.
let's talk about another GPU. Let's talk about the AMD cards that have just been announced. The RX 7000 series. We've got the RX 7900
Oh god, the
XTX, the
naming.
24 GB, the 7900 XT. And
So
yeah,
the XTX is bigger than the XT, right? I'm just gonna vote based on the pricing.
yeah. So they're kind of similar in like their specs, but then
Yeah, like the
there's like
core.
big performance gaps between them
Right.
from what we've seen. So let's just talk about the features. So the 7900 XTX is $1,000. 7900 XT is $900. They're releasing on December
Oh,
13th,
cheapest chips.
2022. They are going to have DisplayPort 2.1 support. People were dunking on the 4090 because it had DisplayPort 1.4. But honestly, we haven't really saturated DisplayPort 1.4. They were kind of just saying, "Hey, it's a Halo product. It's a very expensive card. It probably should
I
just have
think
this." I mean,
I think
8K gaming is
there
not.
were times you could get extremely close to it on the 4090.
I mean, 8K gaming is still not a real thing that
Yeah, no,
anybody
no.
needs or
Okay,
wants.
I would say this. I would look at the limitations of the previous port more than the maximum
Also,
capabilities of the new port.
I don't know if you heard about the controversy about AMD talking about 8K and not actually being
Oh
8K. It was
yeah, with
8K
FSR
ultra
on.
wide. No. They
Hmm.
they 8K ultra wide resolution, so it's like half the
Well,
horizontal
they
or
consider
vertical
8K ultra wide
resolution.
is what most people would consider as 4K ultra wide, which is where you take a 4K and then add more pixels to the left or
Well,
right
they're
of it.
taking
But
the
they took
first number,
8K
which is
and
8.
halved it.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy. But
And then
it's
they also then showed graphs with FSR 3 on, not native.
so
So
they're getting
okay,
dual media engine with AV1 support, which is nice to see. So you're also getting that AV1 codec that the Nvidia's
yeah,
getting.
it's definitely the way
Um,
we're going in the
they're adding
media side.
so AMD's adding FSR3 support, which seems to be fluid frames. So they're going to be doing some sort of frame generation similar to DLSS3, which promises 2 times FPS uplift over FSR2. They also talked about HyperRX technologies as well. These apparently are coming in 2023, so we'll see these later after the launch. So the
Yeah, because they do
seven,
like driver stuff.
so the 79000 XTX is reportedly 1.5 times faster than the 6950, which would make it competitive with the 4080 based on Nvidia's benchmarks. But we'll have to wait and see because it feels like so
They were very nebulous with those numbers.
from the benchmarks, we know that they were rasterized 4K.
Yeah,
I think was the benchmarks, right? But
I think so.
again,
Yeah,
it seems
some
like
RT, but not many.
based on AMD's presentation, they're really not going hard into the ray tracing again.
No.
They're not showing the ray tracing. That was always the big thing between the AMD
Well,
and the Nvidia cards. It's like you get a great
yeah,
deal, like price for performance on rasterization with Radeon cards, but you're getting really subpar ray tracing.
yeah. They're one generation
Worse than
behind on ray tracing, so it's
worse
kind of
than like
understandable.
Intel ray tracing. Um,
Yeah,
but also
a lot of
again,
rasterization is important though.
what are they called? So Nvidia has tensor cores for machine learning. Intel
Yeah,
has what is it? They matrix cores? What are they called?
yeah. It was Matrix and
I can't remember what they're called, but Intel has them as well.
yeah.
But AMD again still don't have like a dedicated machine learning node on their
I
hardware.
I saw as well people were really concerned that they weren't showing like
Uh,
production
Well,
software, like they're like making it a gaming only card.
yeah, I mean, like I think for people's workload, Nvidia's become like kind of a much need now because of
Yeah,
how much is integrated into productivity software.
yeah.
Um,
Just because how much better it has been historically.
I have to say, like, hopefully AMD can compete with Nvidia based on, how expensive Nvidia's got. I mean, changing their GPU die to be like a 5 nanometer smaller node, but
Uh,
then having like the 6 nanometer bigger dies around
yeah.
it that
Oh
support
yeah,
it,
because it's
and
the
like
first like what do you call it? Like a modular. What's the word?
it's similar to how
When they
like the
did for
Ryzen
Rise.
CPUs work.
Yeah,
You
I
mean
can't
like a
remember the wording is now, but it's like the first GPU to do that, right?
Yeah, because like the GPU
For
die
gaming
on the
GPU.
Nvidia was like huge, but the AMD one's like half the size. But it's got these like supporting nodes on it, which is
Yeah,
really really interesting how they've got that to
yeah.
work.
I just find it interesting the way that AMD are like championing this way of doing
So
CPUs
my
and I
question to
guess
you,
GPUs now.
my question to you. Let's just say that the 79,000 XTX
Yeah.
is around a 4080 worth of performance, whatever the 4080 comes out to be. I mean, Nvidia's compared it themselves to the 4090, which we know from third-party benchmarks what that is capable of. If you had to buy a card this Christmas, which card would you buy?
I will say,
Yep.
before like it was hands down Nvidia, even though that there's like yeah, it's not like the best like performance.
Yeah.
I genuinely like AMD is like would be on my list now. Like I would actually be comparing it, whereas before
So
because of the software, the only thing that's missing is like RTX voice.
similar to you, I think AMD's much closer now than they were last generation.
Yeah,
But I have
They're
become
missing
so
something.
accustomed to stuff like DLSS, just amazing performance with the AI upscaled with the physical hardware,
Yeah,
machine learning
I thought
tensor cores.
FSR2 was pretty decent, or 2.1 was pretty decent though.
Uh, I use RTX voice as well. I'm very much a
Yeah.
big RTX voice guy. I mean, I've just become very accustomed, and I don't, because I know you play a lot of like older games, but I play a hell of a lot of games with ray tracing in them, and ray
Hmm.
tracing performance has become very important to me.
I'm very curious
Like
to know
recently, I've
what.
been playing Metro Exodus.
Yeah.
What else have I been playing with? I played Deathloop not that long ago. Like I've been playing tons of games that have ray
I
tracing
will
in
say,
them.
like, it looks to me personally, like, it's the ray tracing again. This is extrapolated, but it looked like if that is true, that the ray tracing is good enough. Whereas I would be happy to choose either, especially considering the price to performance on AMD side.
But I've been
But
playing lots of games with ray tracing in them, and
yeah,
I really like ray tracing.
yeah. Ray tracing is. I know some people think it's like a subtle thing, but I think when you're watching a video of ray tracing, it's subtle. But I think in real life, it's especially with the movement, is completely different.
Yeah, I think. I don't know when it's coming out because it said Portal RTX is coming out in
Oh yeah,
November sometime. I don't know if you've
yeah.
seen the benchmarks for Portal RTX, but it is fucking heavy. Apparently, I saw a
Oh
video on
really?
IGN, I think it was last night. They said they've tried to scale it down all the way to a 3060, but with how
Jesus
I don't know if you saw the
Christ.
benchmarks with how heavy it was on a 4090 at 4K. It was running at like 60 FPS with
If it only just getting the 3060, that would mean like a 2080 would struggle.
yeah, and depending
Ray
on what
tracing
resolution
wise.
you want to be running it as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, so it seems like ray tracing demands are going to get bigger and bigger, and I'm scared AMD is going to fall behind unless they do some
Well,
core fundamental
I'm
changes to
concerned
their
that
hardware.
Portal RTX has become a showcase of the 40 series only, and they're not really concerned with making it like a realistic
I mean, it's literally made
game.
by NVIDIA Lightwork Studios,
Yeah,
so
that's
in the
my
same
concern. That's
way
my
that
problem with
Quake
that. I'm not too
RTX was made
concerned.
by NVIDIA.
Yeah, it's just that's why I'm not too concerned with like where it's going. Like I'm actually that's actually one thing I'm impressed with AMD
Oh,
wise that they're able
guys,
to run
right now
Cyberpunk.
you're looking at me. I'm using RTX voice and RTX broadcast to change the
Yeah,
using these guys. The AI tensor cores in my GPU right now are removing the background from me and adding a new
yep,
one. Like it is
yep.
super useful.
The software now stuff is actually I think a big deal, and I think AMD needs to do both really.
Yeah, I think the fact that they haven't even implemented some hot. I think they said some brief stuff about machine learning, but it wasn't like
They didn't
hardware
benchmark
accelerated.
it. Yeah,
So we'll have to wait and see. Like
I'm curious to see. I've
I
never
like
been excited for
AMD.
an
You
AMD
know I
graphics
like
card.
AMD. I just showed you I have a Ryzen CPU. I really like
Hmm.
Ryzen. I like their power efficiency. I like the design. I really want AMD
The
to come
the
up with the
APUs
GPUs.
Fantastic.
I have an
AP
AMD
is so good.
APU now on
Yeah.
my CPU, so I could try that out if I wanted to. But I think for me, if you said, Joe, you could get a graphics card this Christmas, I would be looking more towards the 4080 and
Yeah.
the 4090 is where
I
I'm
think it's
looking
a
right
lot
now.
closer than it's ever been before, but yeah, I'm still leaving green.
I'm red CPU, green GPU still.
I'm still holding out hope for blue. Like blue's not
Oh,
competitive now,
Intel
but
GPUs. Yeah.
I'm glad they exist.
Then we have VR news, and then we'll end the podcast. So we got 11 new PSVR 2 games announced for the PSVR 2. I have to enter my birth date. I was born on the 1st of the 1st, 1920.
Yeah.
Late.
No, I was one of the first 1901.
But I don't know if you ever saw this, but for the original PSVR, there was, what's it called? Not Dark Pictures Anthology, but the thing they made Until Dawn. They had like this
Yeah.
roller coaster game in VR that you could go around in the original PSVR. it seems like they've done that again, but for the Dark Pictures anthology. So I've played two of
Oh,
the Dark
okay.
Picture anthology games. I have played Little Hope and I have played Man and Medan. I really hope they add Until Dawn to PC at some point, because I really like their games so far. But it seems like again it is this VR thing where like this woman is in Man and Medan I see in the trailer, so it seems like they're bringing back some of the characters from the Dark Picture anthology games. But it seems like it's one of those haunted um, gun rail games, sort of, or, you know, like the carnival ride where you go around and you shoot
Yeah,
targets in like a spooky house. It seems like that sort of thing,
yeah.
but in VR. But it looks like a pretty interesting game. I'd like to have it on PC as well, but I'm fairly sure it's a PSVR exclusive. Um, then we also have a couple of other games. One called Crossfire Sierra Squad. I don't know how many of these are like PSVR exclusives or just ports to the PSVR. I mean, that's not a game I'm particularly interested in. This one you'd be interested in. They're porting Cities VR from the Meta Quest to the PSVR 2, and it's called the Enhanced Edition. But it still doesn't look that graphically impressive, but I guess it doesn't really on the PC either when you zoom in that much, so we'll have to wait and see how it... Like, how does this compare to the PC version when you're zoomed in this close?
It looks... I don't know. They've clearly gone for like a stylized look. There's definitely like less detail. It's more realistic on PC, I would say.
So the VR version of City Skylines is available in a more powerful form, but it's still on a locked-off system, which is the PSVR 2. What do you think about this?
I don't know. Why can't it just be? Why can't VR just be like an open? You do it for one, it's on all of them, sort of thing.
I think there was one more that we seen Cosmonaut side. Hello Neighbor VR. What the fuck is going on? I don't know why this was made, but apparently there's a Hello Neighbor.
Search and rescue.
Yeah. Oh, what the fuck? So I've played the original Hello Neighbor game. I thought the concept looked really cool, but it's a broken, buggy mess of a game. And immediately, as soon as you realize that the neighbor is just completely broken, janky AI, it just loses everything, and it's just awful puzzle design. Oh, we said a couple of weeks ago the Stadia exclusive Hello Neighbor game may be in hot water. Then there was also that weird like multiplayer Hello Neighbor game that I played the beta weekend from. That was like hidden role game, like what's it called? Unfortunate Spaceman. I can see this game being spooky in VR, I guess, but it's more like VR. It's more like horror for kids, is what I call like the Hello Neighbor, Five Nights at Freddy's, like kids horror games. I feel like there should be. It's kind of a genre at this point, where it's like.
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting to see how this turns out. Could be a good VR game. We have to wait and see. I mean, my favorite VR horror game kind of for kids is Hello Puppet VR. Is a really cool, like, kind of comedy horror VR game. It's really weird, but I like it. But yeah, the Jurassic World Aftermath. I think we got that announced from MetaQuest. There's going to be a Pistol Whip port to the PSVR, which is cool to see. After the fall, again, the
Zenith Velocity is going to be any good.
Yeah, I don't know. And then so after the fall, the next game from what are they called? The Arizona Sunshine devs. That cool zombie game, and then Tentacular's coming as well. And I've played Tentacular on Steam VR, and it's fucking awesome. I really like that game. Game from this year.
It's good.
So when the podcast here, read the Pitmology tweet. I was once offered to redesign Milo for Tesla for free. The idea was that Milo would become increasingly irritable during the journey, forcing you to find ways to keep him quiet. Now that would be great. That would keep those drivers focused.
Who approached him? Elon.
Elon owns Twitter now, so he probably DM'd him. To be fair,
yeah,
he probably just sent him a cheeky DM.
Well, I hope Pitmology doesn't get banned for impersonation. Although it looks like only if you impersonate Elon Musk, you get banned.
He's not he's impersonating Pitmology. Not Pete Molyneux.
Right. But he's got the picture. But he's got a profile picture of Peter Molyneux.
It'd be really funny if he got. It'd be really funny if he bought the Twitter Blue subscription and got like the fake verification thing and just started pretending to be Peter Molyneux. But again, it's a quick way to get banned, I guess. Yeah, that's the end of the podcast. You can check us out, the Inbetween podcast, on YouTube. Check us out on twitch.tv/Scorn. If you want to watch us live, if you're watching live now, hello. At Scorn 2000, if you want to watch us, if you want to follow my Twitter for some reason, shows.cast.com, everything in between podcast. There is the audio version on there. If you click on the About section, it will also give you links directly to the Spotify version and the Apple Podcast version. So if you want to listen to the audio-only version, it is there for you as well.
Well, maybe, Joe, platform. I'll load it onto my my watch and listen to it when I go for my run.
You listen to yourself while you go for a run.
Yeah.
Just narcissist things, right?
Yeah.
We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.